All right, you guys, we're here and I'm super excited to be here with my dear friend, Caitlin. And so the way this is going to work today is you're going to get an inside, like you get to be a fly on the wall of us just talking to each other. Two really good friends who have history and also business history, just talking to each other and kind of debriefing and the things that we've learned from the obstacles we've worked through together in our friendship. And so that's really what this is going to look like, you guys. So Caitlin, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited. You guys buckle up, get your happy juice.
Not everybody listening even knows what happy juice is, just FYI.
They're about to.
That's so funny. So, okay, how far back do we want to go?
In 1988, I was born to two parents. Well, yeah, talk about even just our history. Like, I mean, we've been in the same circle of business starting out for, 15 years.
Yeah, I guess. Oh my gosh, yeah, like 15 years. Yeah, so part of why we wanted to do this is because there's relationships you go the distance with and there's relationships you don't. And there's times where somebody, puts themselves out on a limb and shares how they're feeling about something in the friendship. And maybe the other person doesn't receive it well or doesn't agree and doesn't think that, that needs to get worked through. Like relationships are labor times, right? It's not always sunshine and rainbows when you have a long-term relationship with friendship, specifically like female friendship is what we're talking about here, and mental health. And so that's like what we're talking about, right? Is we're going to really pick this apart. And yeah, we've known each other for 15 years, but we didn't really get close until how long? 3 years ago?
I think we're at 4 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, it was, I think, about 4 years. Yes. And yeah, so that's crazy that we've been in the same circle of people more from a business standpoint for 15 years. And I don't even know if you like really knew who I was, but I definitely knew who you were.
You were.
Oh, okay. Yay. And, but then, yeah, definitely, down the line, stepping into a second business together. And then just because we're two peas in a pod, end up becoming friends. But it's like, it's interesting when sometimes when I feel like we say relationships, my mind automatically goes to just a spousal relationship, husband, wife, or, whatever that looks like. But relationships is really important in holding those relationships with your friends, with your business partners, with your sisters, with your family, in addition to with your kids, but in addition to your spouses. And just, so we were, business acquaintances and then business partners that turned into friends. But it's really interesting and really, what would I say, sacred or important to nurture each one of those relationships within our relationship, right? We have our friendship relationship. We have our deep secret type relationship. We have our business relationship. And especially I think when you're friends and business partners, and this is kind of where this all came from, or like kind of stemmed from, it's like, it's really important to nurture and respect both of those different hats that you're wearing.
Yeah, that's first of all, explain secret relationship. What, I think I know what
I feel like you and I are pretty raw with our communication, and like I feel like I could come to you and tell you anything, which I have a lot of friends, but not a lot of friends that I could spill the worst tea to, even like the most incriminating stuff and embarrassing stuff, and you would just hold that space for me without any judgment, and vice versa. And like, I even have, super, super dear close friends, but it's like, I would just hate for them to get the wrong impression with me if I were a little bit too honest and vulnerable. And that's what I mean, like the secret relationship where it's like, we completely hold space for wherever we're at.
Yeah,
with whatever the situation is.
Like a safety.
Yes.
That you could tell me you murdered somebody and I wouldn't judge you.
Exactly. I mean, I did just tell you how to bury a body if you ever need to.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, not every relationship has that, right? Where you can bear your shame and different things without without feeling like whatever it is, right? So we started in business together like 4 years ago. So just for people listening for context, we both sell supplements through a company called Amari Global, and it's a social selling channel. And so it also can have a team component. And for any of you who think that that is whatever, it's all good. We're very cool with what we do. And because just for you to know, Caitlin, like I don't talk about that really on the podcast. So this is the first time they're hearing about this on the podcast.
But I just slid it in there like dog down the hallway.
Yeah, pretty much. So, how Caitlin and I came to work together 4 years ago was she came on to become a brand partner, like an affiliate on my team. And we started working together and I started mentoring her closely. And over that, we've also formed a friendship. And I do want to say this, like when you're in business with people, you don't always become friends with them.
Mm-hmm.
Not every person that I'm in business with, like I consider them like a business friend or like a work friend, but I'm not bearing my soul to them or you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And I think that's important too. And you could probably say the same for you probably have
Mm-hmm.
training clients who you get super tight with and others that it's like it's
Yeah. There's like professional relationship. You know that you just know when some relationships are professional, some can be a little bit more playful, and then some are like, oh no, this is my girl.
yeah,
Like we're
totally.
gonna like inside or outside of business. And actually that's kind of like where this like little bit of a muddy water with our friendship stemmed from is like in or out of business, we're gonna be homies. But the deeper you get in friendship, the deeper I feel like you do have the possibility of some beef or just like, more issues come up the deeper you are in that friendship. They're not just so much surface level, but it's like, no, we're super good friends also. And I want to respect that and keep that friendship. So it's really important to have that communication aspect of the deep friendship.
You know what you just said? You just said something really profound because I agree with you. Like, it's easy to have surface level friends that you have fun with all the time and that's all you do. But when you really do life with people, sometimes stuff gets hard because you're bearing your vulnerability. Maybe something was offensive and they didn't mean to, but you feel offended or whatever it is, because it increases the likelihood of sometimes having like challenges together because you're letting your guard down and
Uh-huh.
showing your humanness. And I think that that's important to just note because there's so much bullshit on social media that's like, if they don't celebrate me, like I'm out. If they like just this very all the time, like just ending relationships,
Totally.
and it's like, well, yeah, some relationships should be ended, but if that's your philosophy, you're never gonna have long, like deep connections with people beyond the first obstacle.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you'll feel lonely and isolated. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And it's like if you went back to even being like, if you have like such high standards for all these people in your life and you can so easily be like, bye, bye, bye. And we absolutely should have high standards. We should seek quality relationships and quality friends. But if you're constantly like someone who's has this, all these checklists of things that if you don't meet all these requirements, this isn't working for me, it's going to be a lot harder to have good, deep hearted, deep rooted connection with people and communication, because then at that point you're not like just fully loving and accepting people with an unconditional heart, loving them for their flaws and their perfections, which I think is what true friendship really is. It's like we know that we have a heart soul connection, so I'm going to love you for all the good and all the bad and all the ugly, and it might get rough a little bit at times, but this friendship or you specifically are worth it.
Yeah, and I do think there's an element of which we can talk about when we tell the story of like both people need to want to labor for the relationship when times get hard.
Totally.
Sometimes
Yes.
one person wants to labor and sometimes the other person doesn't.
Right.
That's why I'm divorced because my ex-husband didn't want to labor. And that's that at this point, that's fine. But it's like, you know what I mean? And this does happen sometimes in friendships and family relationships. And that obviously isn't the person who wants to labor. That's not on them. But I do like, I tell people, in fact, I texted Beck and I was like, I've actually told two people, I was like, Caitlin like healed me. Caitlin did something that helped me heal. You know what I mean? And they were like, oh my God, that's amazing. You know what I mean? And so it was very healing for me for you to circle back and say some things to me. You know what I mean? Because I was fully prepared that you were like gonna probably peace out on me or something.
Mm-hmm.
My own junk, right?
Sure.
But I was like prepared for that.
I
So
think too, when you just talked about like with the, not even bringing up or specifically your husband, but how that was like a whole thing of like, I wanted to labor for the relationship, but he didn't. I'm a huge believer that every single person in your life, even down to your own children and your parents, which could be really hard, everyone's in your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. Every person you encounter. And I live by this because it really makes a lot of breakups, and I say breakups or like torn relationships or weathered relationships, a little bit easier to understand that truly every person you cross in your life is there for a reason. They were just inputted in there for some sort of reason or valuable life lesson, or maybe it's just a season of hardship or a season of growth. It could be a year, it could be months, it could be quite a few years. Or then you have those solid people that are in your life for a lifetime. And it doesn't have to be blood. It could be somebody that you're like, oh, we've been soul connected for years prior to our bodies actually being on earth. Like our souls truly do meet and we will be lifelong, lifetime friends. But even down to like your parents, your relationships, your husbands, even your kids, it's like not everybody is meant to stick around. And I think when that's a beautiful thing, we evolve and we grow, they evolve and they grow. And sometimes people grow further apart. And it's like we get so wrapped up and down that relationship broke. And yes, it's painful in the moment, but then you take a step back later and you're like, okay, that person was just there for a reason or just there for a season. And it's all a blessing and a beautiful, part of your chapter in your book.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I have a good friend. We met in freshman year, and we like when we get together, it's as if no time has lapsed. But we have sometimes gone through extended periods of time where we just don't talk.
Mm-hmm.
We've been through a lot of life together, but we'll go through a period, like we're going through a period right now. She's a newlywed. They started a business. Like we check in on each other every once in a while, but there's not that deeper connection right now. But I know she's my friend for my whole life. Like I could text her and she'd be there in an instant. And I've learned, like, the first time that kind of happened between us, I thought like, oh, and then I learned like we have parallel lives. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes one of us is in the thick of something and it doesn't mean that we're not there for each other or not close. It's just like where we're at. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And once like we kind of both came to this understanding, it just really allowed us to be like when we have the time and when we are seeing each other and when like to just be free and enjoying each other and catching up and having those really deep, intense conversations without like all these strings attached or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And even right now with my mom, like I'm going through some stuff that I realized from my childhood that I need some distance, but like, so we're not having like the same type of conversations that we usually have, but like we're checking in and texting and I'm giving her updates on her granddaughter. And like, it's not like I'm just like, F you, but I'm just like, I need a
Right.
little space to work through some stuff. And like, it's not something that you're going to want to talk about. Right. So I need some space but I'm not like cutting you off or I was like, I just need some space. And she's been respectful of that. And so it's like, she went to Europe. She sent me some pictures. It was good. Like it was good to have, it's good. It's like we're connected, but there's no pressure right now with where
Mm-hmm.
I'm at with some things. And I think that some relationships are like that. Like they change and evolve, but you never lose connection. It just looks different. Right.
Yeah. And that's exactly, I feel like, where the whole taking care of your mental health in a relationship, but for the sake of a relationship is so important because there's such this um I don't know, headspace around mental health that it's only, that you have all these problems and issues or grief or trauma. But mental health truly is even just like what you said, these unresolved things are maybe coming up that's affecting me currently, and I don't want it to affect me. I want to be able to approach it in a healthy way for the sake of our mental health collectively, mine and yours, me as myself, you as your individual person, but also as the mother-daughter connection. This is where that open communication, like of you just saying, hey, I need to take a little bit of space so I can work through these things so that I can help keep the relationship good and healthy, but also like help protect both of our mental health around it. And that's where I feel like too, like what we've experienced in our friendship is that, that communication, depending on the level or the deepness of the relationship, the communication about what you're truly needing, but what you're truly going through too is so important to protect, again, the mental health of the relationship, my individual mental health and yours, but also collectively, just how we move forward in our future together.
Yeah, totally. Okay, I love this. So let's just kind of give them a little bit of a backstory. So we've been in business together 4 years, and then fast forward to how long ago did you start dating your ex?
It was in December of 2023. And then I think I started coming to you as my friend, but also being the badass therapist that you are. Like in July of 2024 was like, all right, some things aren't feeling right. And you're a marriage and family therapist. I need to be able to fully tell you. And this is the thing too, like your background helped a lot, but because we have such this raw, open relationship, I just word vomited all this really disgusting stuff that was happening. And that's when things started to change in my life, but even in our friendship a little bit too. Not for any matter except for that you'd be like, stop flushing your tampon down the toilet. And I would keep, I'm like not taking is
Well,
that a
but
bad
you know
example?
what? When stuff was changing for me in a different way, like around the same time or a little before that. Like I'm trying to remember when I started 50-50 custody. So this is actually a really cool story for us to be sharing with people because I feel like we started 50-50 custody like about 6 months or 8 months before you started dating him, right? I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
It's been now like maybe a year and a half. I think almost around the same time, but I feel like 50-50
Probably
started a
about
little
the
bit
same
before.
time. Yeah.
Okay, so for me, like just in my own stuff, I was having my own like come to Jesus, how I'm living my life, how much I'm working, how much I'm doing certain things. I've had full, most majority custody of my daughter, for like 9 years. And now I'm having a split custody and it really rocked my world. And I remember I started having conversations with certain mentees who I was really close with as a friend and my leaders, right, who had a lot of contact with me all the time and could count on me for certain things. And I had to have like a heart to heart with people saying, like, I have to change how I'm doing certain things. Like when Sammy's home with me, I have to have firmer boundaries. When, and there was just like, I was going through a lot of grief and guilt and like different, just really trying to figure that out. And I feel like that kind of happened around the same time that you guys started dating. And some of that I feel like I talked with you about, but not in the same depth because you were like busy being like falling in love or whatever.
Mhm.
So I was like, oh, she's in love, but whatever. Like just, and so that was happening kind of simultaneously as well. And like
Right.
you were doing your stuff and going through your stuff, I was really going through this transformation of like, what kind of leader do I want to be? How do I want to be in my business? How much time? Like, I really want to function from my feminine energy, not this masculine space where I'm like always on for everybody and always
Yes.
doing. And there were some people who were kind of struggling with the transition I was making, like as a mentor and a leader, because they were used to me being a certain way. And I had a conversation with my mentor at some point, and I said to her, like, I got to this point, I was like, I have to be okay with people. This was more for business, but like, I have to be okay with people falling away if they are here for how I am. Like if they can't shift and adapt with me, then I'm okay with people like air quote losing people or people falling away.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I am not okay with that, I'm going to keep functioning the way I am from this place of like scarcity and keeping people happy and all this stuff. And I said, I can't do it anymore. Like I'm pulling,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do the travel as much. I'm not going to do this as much for a little while, and I told her, and she was very supportive, but I was like, I was going through all of that at the time. I don't even know if you know that, but I was,
Mm-mm.
yeah, see, I was going through all of that while you were going through what you were going through in your relationship.
Dang.
Yeah. And so then like, and I saw already earlier, I kind of could tell that something wasn't fully right. Like when I saw you a year ago in the summer,
Mm-hmm.
since you weren't yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, well, she hasn't said anything to me, so I can't say anything to her. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Yes.
Like type of thing. And then you came to me, and told me some stuff. So I was like really scared for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With all the intricate details of the relationship. And I feel like it's hard because, and that's where when I come to you with like, these things are happening, I want your opinion, and you give me your opinion and you also give me your recommendation of what I should do, and I do the complete opposite. And it's like, which is what happened. It's like, and that, it's like, and I've have experienced this with some of my friends before, like, do not continue to complain to me about the same situation if you're not willing to change it. I can be here for you when you are crying, but if you call and complain to me about this one more time, but you're not willing to make any changes for it, like I just eventually have to take a step back and not only not support this, but it's like, I can't listen to this anymore because you are letting this same situation tear you down, and I'm your safe place, but I've heard it over and over and over, giving you my comfort, my suggestions, and you're just not doing anything with it. So eventually that kind of be like, in your case, you were like, I have to stop watching this happen and unravel ahead of me. I know what your heart really desires. I know what your heart's really going through. I know how you're being treated, but I'm watching you do this post this facade on Instagram and not listen to any of my marriage and family advice, but also my, you know, friendship advice.
But for the record, I never said to you that you didn't listen to
Well, no, you never did. You never did. But it
no,
was like, you know, it's like,
think of it like that. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't judging you. I was bummed. I was like, damn, like this is not good. But I was like, it's her journey. You know what I mean? And like
right,
I don't know if I can watch it. It's like making me I'm so anxious about it. Like I'm
right.
scared. I'm concerned for her well-being that it fucked me up a little bit to see.
Right. And going back to you having to take care of your mental health. It's like if I am watching, this is what the, you know, this whole, like the point of us chatting about how important it is to recognize in friendships where mental health is struggling collectively, individually, and then being honest about it. Cause it's like, if I'm doing something repeatedly, that's, you know, traumatizing you in a way that it's like, that's triggering. You're like, man, I can't watch this. Like, you know, honoring and respecting your own mental health and taking a step back or addressing it, which is what ended up happening with us, but being able to be like, man, I like, this is affecting me at this point. And for the sake of myself, but also our friendship, I need to take a
Yeah.
step back.
Yeah, totally. So I pulled back, like I muted your stories for a while, but I didn't like go tell you. I wasn't like, hey, Caitlin.
No, I just noticed because I'm crazy about looking at who watches my stories and who doesn't.
Okay, let's take a pause and be very honest. People notice stuff on social, and I actually should probably do a podcast on this. Like, there's a whole world of how we socialize on social. And for people to try to gaslight their friends and go, what do you mean? Like, I just haven't been seeing your pet. Like, bullshit. You're saying
Totally.
stuff, or you're purposely ignoring stuff, or you're purposely not clapping, or you're purposely like I hate that. Like I just think it's
Hmm.
such a lie. Like there is a social aspect to social media where people do shit like that to each other and then
Hmm.
try to act like with their friends like that they're crazy for noticing. And I'm like, bro, give me a break.
Yeah. Yes.
And so when you asked me, I was really honest with you. I wasn't going to be like, what do you mean? Like, no. I mean, that's the lamest thing ever. Like,
I was like, hey, well, first off, you missed my birthday. And I was like, oh, okay, now something's going on because you didn't see it that I was posting that other people had
I
posted about my
didn't.
birthday. And so then I'm like, okay, now I know. So then I was like, every day, like, did she watch my things? Did she watch my story? And then,
Sorry I put you through that, by the way.
I mean, it's like
But I want you to know that
accepted.
that
Let
was
me say
really
that.
for my
Apology
friends
accepted.
too. Like I just was first of all in my own world with all this 50-50. I wasn't online as much, but then I also did mute your stories for my mental health. But like I'm sorry I put you through that because I know that that was upsetting for you. Like it would be upsetting for me too. I've had things like that happen to me in friendships.
Yeah. I mean, I totally respect and understand that needing to do it for yourself. And it's interesting. It's like, where would that conversation have stemmed from, right? Had I not known that I was even bugging you or whatever, you know, you couldn't watch my stories because I was like stuck in this relationship that was not serving me, that was actually really ripping me apart. And you're just standing by watching it happen, even with all your advice. It's like, when we talk about protecting our mental health, where do you then go from there being like, hey, what's up, girl? We haven't talked in quite a while because I'm secretly kind of going through like some stuff where I can't, you know, really watch your stories, but FYI, I'm going to mute your stories because that's not how it felt in your heart, right? It was like, I just need to do this. But then it's like, if you're honest with that person, do they take it as, you know, I'm just calling to let you know that I'm going to mute your stories? Even that's how it would be received, even if that's not how you meant it. So it's like, well,
Really
then,
scared if I went out of my way to say something. Like I didn't want you to think I was being disapproving or judging or
right. But
you
that's just
know
where it's such muddy water in these like deep friendships. It's like you could have totally come to me with good intentions, being like, listen, I'm going to mute your stories because I'm not. And I would have been like, wait, what? My stories are triggering you? And then this is where, you know, that openness in communication, even in relationships, but in friendships, it's like, wait, let's talk about this. What was it that's triggering? And then, but like you were saying, you were going through all this stuff with the 50-50 custody kind of like not turning out in your favor to where maybe you weren't even in the right headspace to have the conversation. And so it's like, do you just protect yourself and do what you did, mute the stories and then deal with it later? Or, you know, it's interesting when you really get into these deep connections with people, and because we had to keep some sort of a relationship open because we were in business together. But then, you know, that's like where it's okay, I can still keep a business face on and still be able to have these business conversations, but they're a little bit cooler, like a little bit colder. They're not as like checking in, like, you know, the way that we used to, and doing that for your own mental health. Then eventually, like I caught on, I'm like, hold on, girl, you're talking to me like I'm just one of the other girls.
okay, but here's what I'll tell you. that's when I was going through the journey of kind of like, I'm not going to chase my business partners.
Yes. Yes.
And so it wasn't like when I wasn't trying to be cold or cool. It was more like I was just like, okay, Caitlin's busy. Like she's got stuff she's doing. She will come to me when she needs me. And this is like the business side of it, right? Like not the like I started to pull back on not just with you, but with other people on
Yes.
how much I was checking in and how much I was like, you know what I mean? And so that really didn't help the situation. That was
Yeah.
where there was like the personal and then the business change, and you're just like, what the fuck? This bitch is fucking abandoning me or something? Like, what? Which,
And she's not watching my stories.
I mean, so I can imagine, you know what I mean? Like how upsetting that was for
And
sure.
actually, it was more so just like, before it's upsetting, you're just racking your brain. And we just all do this because we're all psycho of being like, oh my God, what did I do? Was it this? Was it this? Was it, when you start like over analyzing things and then you're like, okay. And I think like a year ago, even I would not have been the person to approach you the way that I did. I would have like started being catty back and I would have been like, well, I'm not going to be as lovey dovey to message you or in my brain too much and shut down versus being like, hey, hold on. All of a sudden I just matured in the last few months with therapy and I feel like I can come to you and be like, I've noticed your messages have been like a little bit cooler. They were I think it was a voice text and it was like a little bit like just direct and straight to the point where normally you're just like, so my homegirl and like, like it would be like this. It'd be like, normally you'd be like, what up bitch? Like hope your day's going well anyways. And now it was like this. What up, bitch? Just kidding. But like, it was like, just like the tone and the mannerisms changed. Like, this girl's mad at
I was
me.
just more getting down to business.
Totally.
And it wasn't just you, it was like people. Like I don't even remember what phase I was in of my journey at that moment, but yes, I know. And I was so proud of you because you were like, you just sent me a voice clip and you were just like, listen, like
Did I upset you? I noticed you're not watching my stories. I noticed you didn't say happy birthday to me, but you're saying happy birthday to everybody else.
well, yeah, and I mean, I immediately responded, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I was just really honest with you about, and I was really scared, Caitlin, to say what I said to you because I was like, this is it. Like, I'm gonna say some stuff, and like, she's probably gonna peace out, and it's gonna be done. You know what I mean? And I did say, like, I did tell you, I was like, I haven't felt like our friendship has. Well, I didn't say that right away. I told you what happened with the like muting your stories for my mental health and all of that and feeling genuinely like scared and concerned and like that I didn't want to see it because it would be something that would be like bothering me a lot, you know, like I'd be worried a lot. And then I feel like we had a back and forth and then I was like, oh God, I can't believe I'm going to say this. And I said to you, I feel like our relationship has been more one-sided on the
One-sided.
side for a
Yeah.
while now. And I felt it really was starting like several months into your relationship, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you didn't act like you were offended. I don't know how you received it on your end, but you were very gracious to me. And then like I wouldn't say you were any more distant or anything, but you were busy doing your own thing. And then I feel like a couple months later you like circled back to me after
It was like just 2 weeks because remember I was just going to go do my ayahuasca journey.
I didn't know you were doing that.
Oh, well, I had done that in between. And then all of a sudden, like, and I feel like this too. I've learned this in the last couple of years to not speak or not respond ASAP, like take a step back and sleep on it, regurgitate it, think about your side. That's the biggest thing, you guys, in a relationship is like thinking about yours instead of being attacking, like, well, what about this text that I sent you on December 18th? And then I sent you another text on July 4th, like instead of like trying to like right your wrong and be like, well, no, be like, wait a minute, I'm going to honor how you feel. I'm going to take a step back and evaluate why you're feeling this way and what part I took in it. And then, giving yourself that time and that relationship, the grace to be like, okay, did I do this or did I not? Are you overreacting? Did I actually do this? And then being able to have in a healthy space a conversation about it. But during that time, one, taking a step back versus just going ahead and responding, just being like, hey, and I think I might have even said, maybe I didn't actually, but I appreciate this. Thank you for being honest. I'm just going to take a day or two to think about that. I don't know if I ended up saying that or
You
not.
didn't say you're going to take time to you just said, I appreciate that. You responded graciously. You were like, thank you for your honesty or whatever, right? Tell me.
Yeah. And then just a few weeks later came back around when I had gone to an ayahuasca ceremony, thinking I was going to do an ayahuasca ceremony for my deep grief of my husband passing. And also actually kind of the current grief I was going through with my fiance being not a wonderful fit.
Nice thing to say.
Yeah, a wonderful fit. And then turns out I actually, through that process, was able to really come to terms with the darkest parts of myself, which is that sometimes I am very much all about me and put my needs ahead of others. And then I'm not gracious at times to be able to really look at the darker parts of me and how that affects other people. And I immediately just go to defending myself instead of trying to problem solve or apologize and work through it together.
Which is like human nature, right? Like we all have
Yeah.
those
Yes.
inside of us. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you tell us about your ayahuasca. I've never. I'm very excited, like for people to hear about this.
Yes. Yeah. So, like I said, ayahuasca, it's a really much deeper level of healing through plant medicine and guided meditation with a shaman of really trying to get to the deeper. And I don't know, I couldn't tell you all the specifics about it. So if I butcher all these specifics, but the deeper, almost like subconscious of grief, or where does grief stem from, or what kind of trauma are we holding on to, or what kind of generational trauma do we have? It just really helps you unveil all these different layers of deeper stuff that we can't just go through talk therapy with. And so I had gone to ayahuasca because I had lost my husband in an avalanche 5 years prior, and then COVID happened right after that. And so I just was really holding on to a lot of deep grief. I couldn't explain it except for just freaking grief that was like suffocating still 5 years later. And so I was like ready. Like the first night I took the biggest ayahuasca shot that you could get. I'm like, send me home. Like, I want to just bawl and cry. Like, let's go. They're like, how much do you want? Small, medium, or large? I'm all large. Like, give me the large. I'm ready to go to the moon.
Gosh.
I'm ready to face all my demons. Like, let's do this. I'm prepared to bawl my eyes out. Because you purge in many different ways during ayahuasca. It could be tears, it could be giggling, it could be laughing, it could be coughing, it could be sneezing. It's typically vomiting, or
I was going to say, is it vomiting?
Needing to go to the bathroom. Yeah. So I'm like prepared. Yeah, yes, you purge. All so right. I'm prepared to take such a big dose that they tell you to bring a yogurt container so that you have something to purge in. I brought a 5-gallon bucket because I was like, I was just never done this before, you guys. I was prepared. Yeah. From both ends. Like, if I needed to sit on that bucket and hold something, like, I was just ready to let it go.
Yes.
And get all this stuff out. And so it doesn't happen that way for those of you who are like, oh, I'm definitely not going to do ayahuasca now. It absolutely does not happen that way. You don't we thought we'd be in a circle, just all shit in our pants uncontrollably. It's not how it happens at all. But I was just ready to like let go of all this deep stuff. I thought I was going to come out I thought maybe my color was going to change on my whole body, like, like a different hue of a person or whatever. I just was like really hopeful. And I want not to say none of that happened, but it just happened in a deeper sense. It was like I went through this mirror of myself of really seeing through the ayahuasca journey that all the darkest parts of me, but also where all these darkest parts have stemmed from. They've stemmed from a way that I was treated. And these are just general examples, but from a way that I was treated, from experience I had, at a certain age, from the way I experienced through my eyes, how another verbal communication happened, maybe from a way that, you were, I don't know, unloved, or you were touched, or it could be so many different things. But it's like, I really got to see all the dark sides of me and put a visual to why I act that way. Through ayahuasca, I was really able to be like, oh my gosh, this happened when I was 4 years old. That's why now I immediately go into this, defense mechanism. It was like all of a sudden, if I was taking a puzzle or a connect the dot situation, and during that journey, seeing all the dark sides of me, that I'm like, oh, these are like icky. I do not like these sides of me. But then also being like, oh, I'm like this because this happened and I had no idea. I'm like this because I experienced this and I've shoved it under the carpet and I don't remember that anymore. So just going through all these, like, because then once you get to those parts of yourself, it's really great to identify, but then you can have self-forgiveness. Yeah. Forgiveness of like those parts that you don't want any longer. Forgiveness of when you were that particular person in the situation, so that you can move forward and not act upon those parts anymore. or be that person anymore. And that's exactly what happened in our situation. It's like, girl, you're calling me out for something. And I did do that 100%. And I could never realize it. Well, one, without you telling me, but two, with also me being able to be like, I do have that tendency of, making relationships one-sided. I put myself on a pedestal and kind of being all about me and my needs. Well, that's not a relationship. These damn head bops keep falling out. I must have the slipperiest of ears. And so, being able to acknowledge these things that you said about me, but be able to take a look inside and be like, damn, I do that. And I don't want to be like that anymore. So there's, I'm going to butcher this too, but ho'oponopono. Yeah, it means, I forgive you. I forgive me. Do you forgive you? Do you forgive me? And that was a big part of it too, is just like, being able, I think that's all it takes, you guys, being able to acknowledge this dark part of myself. And for your sake, I'm sorry I did this. I don't want to do this anymore. And blank, I'm going to turn the page and be a new chapter of not acting that way anymore because of self-forgiveness, radical forgiveness.
Yeah, that's incredible. I don't know if I'm gonna do ayahuasca, if I'm gonna barf I mean, I'm fine to shit myself, but like barf, I don't know, Caitlin. I don't know.
It's very healing. It feels very good to let that go. I mean, the only thing I will say is like you're in a big circle, the group, right? And we're all on these nests or what they called, but all on these little beds, and people are just going,
doing their thing.
Projectile vomiting very loud next to you. And that's the only, but it's like such a safe container. And it's like, that it's all purging to let all these deep, toxins in our deepest layer of our connective tissue out.
Wait, did you?
And did I throw up?
Yeah.
Oh, girl. Oh, yes. So much. It's kind. You can't.
Wait, did you shit yourself?
No, I never shit myself, and I never actually. No, I never actually ended up being in that position either. I already have gut issues, guys. So like, if I would have shitted myself, it's like, that's a daily Caitlin experience anyway. It's like, it's not that big of a deal. But no, I thought in ayahuasca, it was going to be like uncontrollable. And that's not it. You ask for help. They help you get up. They take you to the bathroom. And then with the vomiting, you're kind of getting nauseous. You can feel it. So you're just sitting there deep breathing with your bucket underneath of you. You've got your head like this. And then, you vomit and you feel 20 million times better. It's like this gunk of weight, like how we feel like weights lifted off our shoulders. This is physical weight that's deep embedded in our body, in our bones, in our joints, in the deepest level of our memory and connective tissue. And when you purge it or release it, even like through the tears, I had a big hyperventilating cry session. That was the most euphoric release of just this deep, deep, deep grief. And, purging comes in all those different ways. And if you think about feeling like something that's just weighed you down so heavily for so long, that purging is a true release. It's like such a gift to your body to be able to release that toxic energy that you're just been holding on to for so long.
That's incredible.
You should definitely do it. You would. I think everybody should do it.
Doing it. I mean, you can tell me more offline, but like, I think I'd be scared. I'd be nauseous the whole time. Are you nauseous?
No. And if you do get nauseous too much, yes, you're not nauseous the whole time. It depends. You can control how much you take. It definitely comes in waves. There's an antidote if you're like there's something you can take and it will instantly snap you out of it. But let me tell you this is interesting. I went and played trivia last night with one of my Parkinson's patients, probably 82 years old. He is a doctor. Last night we just happened to be talking about ayahuasca, and he's like, he's very much on board with plant medicine for healing in so many different ways, cancer capacities, mental health capacities, for sleep, like all sorts of plant medicines. And so he said, the one thing I've never done, I've done everything from a doctor's perspective. He's done everything. The one thing I've never done is ayahuasca, and I regret it to my bones. But now with having Parkinson's, he's 6 years into Parkinson's, it's just too much of muddy waters of like, you want to really protect what you have left of your whole body. But he said, the one thing I regret is not doing ayahuasca, because I know from a doctor's perspective and a doctor that believes in plant medicine that it's the utmost deep healing thing you can ever do for yourself.
Interesting.
Next to like an EDMR, where you're like really getting into like, it's cutting into that deeper level of subconscious where you don't have control, so that you can really release the deeper emotions, but also the understanding. Like for me to come face to face with a mirror image of the dirty, dark parts of myself and be like, man, I do. Caitlin, is this how people see you on your bad days? I hope not, but I'm going to now that I've acknowledged it and I see it, I'm going to do everything in my power not to be that person to other people, because I would never want to that person to show up, who I consider a friend. I would never want to see that side of a person, but that's even personally embarrassing for me that I have those dark parts, which we all do. It's not that,
Totally.
we all do, but the thing is, acknowledging it and being like, all right, I don't want to be that person anymore.
Yeah, totally. So then you circled back to me
Mm-hmm.
and
I think I just was like, listen, like I've been really thinking about your conversation or like what you had said to me in our conversation. And I've done a lot of like deep inner work of just like, I really value our friendship. And it's really important to me that I don't just say sorry, but like we actually make sure that you are complete in what you said and that I've been able to change those habits, but also be able to truly from the depths of my soul apologize so that we can move forward in a healthy relationship, but also know that our communication is strong enough that we can come to each other and say, hey, I really value you in our friendship, but this is some stuff that's really been bugging me or you hurt me. And it's my friendship, our friendship means enough to address it so that we can have a healthy container and get to the bottom of it.
yeah, totally. Um yeah, it was crazy. Like I was just like shocked, to be honest. Not because of you, but because of my own historically when I'm honest with people, they
It turned out well.
it doesn't, not everybody obviously, but like it doesn't turn out well. And I think I've manifested some of that through my own nervous system and like repeating, attracting in certain friendships that mirror, my relationship with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been interesting to see since I've been putting boundaries in place, whether it's in business or my personal life, and being more vulnerable and honest, who decides to like labor with me.
Mm-hmm.
And you were one of those people. And you were like, I'm really sorry. You told me like you thought about me at the ayahuasca retreat or whatever, and that you don't want us to have a one like a you want me to know that you care and you know what I mean and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my gosh, like that's it was it was like very healing for me.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And it also made me feel like, okay, I can have standards for relationships.
Totally.
Like, which sounds ridiculous for me to say, right? But it's like just this sisterhood wound is like I did a post about this 2 days ago. It's done a lot of healing in my life, but the sisterhood wound, I'm still uncovering layers of that, of just like beliefs I have or who I've attracted in or not feeling like I can always be vulnerable with women because of again like my own subconscious stuff from my upbringing, and then
Mm-hmm.
having like experiences that have kind of confirmed my beliefs or whatever, right?
Right.
And so I've really been leaning into being vulnerable and being really soft and like more raw in my female relationships and also like allowing the ones that they're not here for that. They were here for the other version of me, right? The one that takes
Right.
care of everything and nurtures them and does all the whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that those fall away, but then also like calling in new sisters, like new girlfriends.
Right. And remember, a season, a reason, a lifetime.
Yeah.
And it's all okay. It's like, some people aren't on, let's see, how do I say this so kindly? Because I don't mean it to be mean to anybody at all. Some people just aren't on your caliber yet when you're stepping into the next version of yourself.
Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's fine. They'll catch up or they're on their own path. And that's what's just beautiful about like, us being individuals.
Yeah, totally. So, what do you think would be some of the most important things for people to glean from our story?
Well, I think like, if we're getting back to the point of why we started talking about this, which maybe we didn't even talk about it in the introduction, but it's like how important mental health is in relationships and then dissecting that, not just your mental health around that you have like grief and trauma, but like truly taking care of your day-to-day mental health, recognizing the things that trigger you, that don't feel comfy, that you're like, oh gosh, that's actually not helping me, but also relationships, not just meaning, our spouse relationships. This is, so many different relationships, but especially your sisterhood, especially, being in, the boys or just the relationships that you have with friends specifically. But if you think about too, that your friends are outside of your close family, your friend circle is the one that you're most closely connected with, talking to all the time, texting, sending memes. So to really be on point with both of your mental health, like nurturing your mental health for the safety and the overall health of the relationship. That, that starts with clear communication, really honest communication about where things are standing. If there's a problem, it doesn't mean you have to do a check-in weekly, like, so how are we this week? So how are we this week? But if there's an issue, just like, instead of just nip it in the bud or whatever that they say, hey, this is not feeling good and cozy to me, and I want to address it for the health of our relationship. But also, I mean, I'm going through this right now. I've got a friend I have to have a conversation with. She really hurt my feelings 2 days ago, but it was on Saturday and it's Tuesday and it's eating me alive that I haven't said anything. But it's like, don't know how it's going to go, but it's on a day-to-day basis. It is draining my mental health right now, because I know once I have the conversation with her, if we have the friendship I think we have, we're going to talk about it, squash it, and move on. But because I'm not protecting or taking care of my mental health right now and holding on to this because I have so much anxiety to talk to her, it's like, bleeding into my sleep. It's bleeding into my concentration. She's been texting me being like, what's up, girl? And I'm just like, I know. I was thinking this morning, I'm like, you're literally doing a podcast today on mental health in friendships. You are whole, yeah, I know. And you are, but it's just like how you had that, that anxiety, like, man, this could change our friendship, what I need to talk to you about. But that's just that's where it comes back to just, having this open communication. And these are the parts I need to learn, to be like, hey, how do you even open up that conversation? Like you with wanting to mute my stories. How do you even safely open up that communication to say something happened? Are you in a place, asking permission? Or, I don't even know. Asking permission. Are you in a place that you can reciprocate what I have to share with you? Something was said that hurt my feelings and I want to talk to you about it. It's like, even that, even though that's such a respectful way to start a conversation, that's intimidating in itself, because it's like that person might be like, depending on how they are, when I was my old self before, I mean, I've definitely worked on these in the last couple of years, but for sure before ayahuasca, I would immediately have gone into defense mechanism. What do you mean I hurt your feelings? I can't think of one thing I ever did. I'm so curious. Oh, this should be good. You know what I mean? Just being like, yeah. Instead of being like, now we call her Caitlin 2.0, or at this point, Caitlin 7.0. I've gone through so many versions of myself. I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, share it with me, girlfriend. Like, what? I'm in an open space. Thanks for asking permission first to make sure I'm in a good mental space today to receive this and be able to talk about it. But it's a
maybe
whole
you can
journey.
say, hey, I have something that's really important to me and a little bit like kind of serious to talk. Like, are you in a spot where you can have that kind of conversation?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do want to say this for all of our listeners, that no matter what relationship you think you have, sometimes you are taking every time you're taking a relational risk, and sometimes it doesn't turn out well. Like,
Right.
I took a relational risk probably 6 to 8 weeks ago with somebody who I thought, like, not that I didn't assume how they were going to respond in a sense of like, oh yeah, you're 100% right or something, but more just like, oh yeah, like, it will be no issue that I'm going to share how something is affecting me. And it was a huge issue that I shared it. I was actually shocked by how they responded to me, like very uncharacteristic. And we've kind of, smoothed it over, but it hasn't actually been addressed or resolved. Like the thing that I said that was affecting me, and then also how they responded to me, none of that's actually been resolved. It's kind of been like, well, I love you. I love you. And there's like, there's
That
distance.
big elephant in the room.
Yeah. And right now, like, I'm just kind of like, okay with it. I'm shocked that it actually went that way, to be really honest. And so I think that this is important, is like, part of mental health and relationships is, it's not that you go in guns a blazing and you're like, well, if they don't agree, I'm out. But it's more like, if I'm willing to take this risk for what's important to me and how I want to be loved or treated or whatever, like how I want to be, the boundaries I want to have or whatever, you have to be okay with people not always seeing eye to eye. Be prepared to maybe let that person go, or have that gap in time for a while, whatever it is. Like, I think that's what can make conflict healthier, is that, at least this is my opinion for me. It's like, when I go in, I think I was more devastated because I assumed she and I would like work it out and smooth it over. And then I was just like totally taken aback by how she responded to me. And so with you, I was like, she may not like what I say, and this may mean distance or potentially our relationship looking different or whatever. And I was sad, but I was like, I have to be okay. I have to be okay with however she
It's the
responds.
outcome.
Figure it out. And I didn't think that way going into the other one,
This other one.
right? And I set myself up for more upset in a way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
More disappointment. So some of it is also like in relationships, it's managing your own expectations. It doesn't mean you have to take
Yes.
shit. It's just more like
Right.
them mistreating you, but it's more like, okay, they might not give me the apology I'm looking for. They might not
Mm-hmm.
they might not validate me. They might not. And what am if that happens, am I okay with how the chips fall? Right.
Right.
And I think that relationships, even the really long term ones, are full of risks. When we're having these things that could, cause a little bit of a stirring between people, and I think it's
Yeah.
like being okay with this might not go exactly how I hope it goes, but I'm doing what I think is right for myself and also for them, whether they agree or not. Like it's important for them to know maybe how something they're doing is affecting me.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And two, like holding space or for wherever they are, because you don't know what maybe she was going through that day or that week that made her react like that. And was just like, I said what I needed to say to get this off my chest so that we can move forward in it. I'm just going to love you for where you are. And, I did my part. We can recircle or revisit this a couple weeks later. And maybe it's like, this is where when you're honest in these relationships, this is where you start to get down and honest with yourself too. Get to find out if people are there for a season, a reason, or a lifetime.
Yeah.
And it's all
I
good and it's all beautiful.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Cool. Okay. Well,
Man.
this has been amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like this is going to be really powerful for a lot of people who listen into this.
Friendships and sisterhoods and just relationships in general. Be taking care of the mental health of the relationship, fam.
Yes. And I do want you guys to go follow Caitlin. She is amazing. Tell them like you're designing your own what would you call it? Like you've created this very specific targeted way to work out for women that supports
Yes.
hormones but still gets them like shredded and looking fly AF, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've been a personal trainer and a fat loss coach for 15 years. And really, as I'm getting closer to my 40s, been learning so much more about the body and hormones and how women are not designed as small men. And we should not be training and eating like small men, which is such a blessing because once we tap into this, we're going to see our bodies just start to change.
Totally.
And so my best friend and I, we both have been teaching a class called War and Peace with the idea about it being that we tap into war and we tap into peace and we tap into mindfulness. I'll just say that. But our styles of it have been very different. She teaches in Los Angeles. I teach here in Hawaii. And so then the more I've been doing my class, I'm like, listen, working out where there's such a verbiage around getting healthy and working out that it has to be an hour of this crazy cardio plus an hour of these workouts or weighted workouts and, all these to-dos, all these things that we need to do. But really getting healthy, and that doesn't just mean within our body, but within our mindset too, within the peace within our mind, is tapping into, well, first of all, making it manageable, making it like, I don't want to say easy in terms of an easy workout. I mean, easy on your schedule, being able to just do something at home where you're getting all the pieces of the puzzle, the mindfulness, the meditation, the fat burning, I'll call it the calorie burning, fat burning, but also the resistance training to the muscles, which is how we actually change the body specifically. But it's a whole total package. So what we've done is created a at home workout that you can do with just your body weight and just bands. But it's easy enough. I'll put that in air quotes that a beginner can do it, but it's intense enough that somebody who's been working out for years and years and has tons of muscle and tons of like a great endurance and their cardiovascular is top notch, they can do it as well and still get a really kick-ass workout. And so it's called War and Peace. We actually, right before this, just had our meeting with our trademark lawyer to make sure that everything's rocking and rolling. So you can follow me specifically with my fat loss and personal training. And also I'm just kind of like a really silly shit show of a blonde bombshell on my Bodies by Caitlin. Always
Most hilarious stories. Share your mental health story a lot.
Yeah, my mental health and just a lot of fat loss tips on my Bodies by Caitlin.fatloss coach page. But definitely follow us on War and Peace because we're just about to launch all of our Zoom workouts you can join, Zoom workouts that you can purchase that are recorded, and they're anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes all at home with just body weight and band. And you might think you know what this is going to look like in your head, but you have no idea because we've really she's 18 years in the industry, I'm 15, with all sorts of certifications, and we've really made this pretty spicy.
I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Yeah,
so yeah,
it's incredible.
Follow you. And thank you for being vulnerable with me today and letting people see the inside of our relationship.
Yes, this was so fun. I really appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. I love you, friend.
I love you too.
Okay. See you guys in the next episode.